January 17th, 2026. Old Trafford. Manchester City needed points. Pep's side were chasing Arsenal's title charge. They headed into the derby facing a Manchester United side with Michael Carrick in the dugout for his managerial debut. It was supposed to be routine. But City lost 2-0. 4 games without a win, 7 points behind Arsenal. Diaz was out injured, so were Guardiola, Stones and Savinho, and the consensus was clear. This Man City team were finished. But Pep didn't panic.
As much the chances there, the hopes always will be there.
8 weeks later, they have been a juggernaut, remained unbeaten despite dropping points, 1 game in hand and title race wide open. They said City were done. They said the same in 2023 and in 2024. And this is why you don't write off Pep Guardiola. 4 days after the Old Trafford defeat, City travelled to Norway, a Champions League game against Bodo Glimt, a club from the Arctic Circle with a population of 52,000, and City lost 3-1. They made it 5 games without a win, equaling the longest winless run of Pep Guardiola's managerial career. But as bad as the results were, the squad was also falling apart. Ruben Diaz suffered a hamstring injury, out for 6 weeks. Joško Gvardiol fractured tibia, season potentially over. At one point, Pep had 9 senior players out injured. The noise was defeating, pundits calling time on City's dominance, headlines declaring the title race over. But here's the thing, we've seen this before. In 2023, City were 8 points behind Arsenal somewhere in January. The title race looked over, except it wasn't. Over the remainder of the season, City won 13 of their last 16 league games, lifted the trophy on the final day. In 2024, Rodri tore his ACL. City's entire system was built around him. They couldn't survive without him, except they did. They won the title yet again. Every time City hit a wall, the same story plays out. The media writes the obituary, Guardiola remains calm, and then something shifts. And this time is no different. While everyone else is focused on the crisis, Pep was on the phone. And in January, the answers started arriving. The foundations of this City team had already been laid in the summer. Ryan Cherki from Lyon, Tijani Reinders from AC Milan, Gianluigi Donnarumma from PSG, Ryan Ayat-Nouri from Wolves. 4 signings designed to reshape the squad for the next era of Guardiola's City. But by January, the plan had hit a wall. City were fielding centre-back pairings held together with tape and hope. Kusanov and Max Alain were starting games. The squad needed reinforcements, and they needed them fast. So in January 9th, City confirmed the signing of Antoine Semenyo from Bournemouth. £65 million, the most expensive transfer of the entire January window. Every top club in England wanted him. Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, all of them circling, but Semenyo chose City. And you could see why Guardiola wanted him. Pace that stretched defences, power that bulldozed fullbacks, a directness that City had been missing with Doku and Savinho stuck in the treatment room. Semenyo was the solution to City's tail attack. 10 days later, City completed their second signing of the window, Mark Gay from Crystal Palace. £20 million for an England international who Liverpool had tried to sign in the summer. That deal collapsed on deadline day, and City moved in January and got him for a fraction of the price. Gay wasn't just a buddy to fill a gap, he was a leader, a player who captained Palace to an FA Cup trophy, a centre-back who could walk into the chaos of a title race and perform like he'd been doing it for years. 2 signings, both Premier League proven, both ready to contribute immediately. But signing players is one thing, and getting them to click is another. New arrivals usually take time, they need to learn the system. Learning the system, the movement patterns, the triggers. But for City, especially in the EFL Cup semi-final first leg at the St James's Park, they got their answer. Semenyo had already scored on his debut against Exeter. 2 days later, he scored again against Newcastle, tapping in from close range after a clever touch from Bernardo Silva. That's 2 goals in 2 games, the first City player to do it since Emmanuel Adebayor. But it was the second goal that told the real story. The 98th minute, City protecting a 1-0 lead, a throw-in deep in Newcastle territory. And what happened next shouldn't have been possible. Take a look at this sequence.
Back to Ait-Nouri, on to Semenyo, into the gap for Cherki, on it goes to Ait-Nouri, into the box goes Ait-Nouri, and then Cherki! Yes. Ait-Nouri back to Cherki!
Ait-Nouri to Semenyo to Cherki. 3 players, 3 touches, 6 seconds, 2-0. Now here's what makes this remarkable. Ait-Nouri and Cherki signed in the summer. Semenyo had only been at the club for 11 days. None of them played together before this season. Yet the movement proved it wasn't luck or individual brilliance. It was the system. A way of playing so embedded that the new signings can execute it within weeks of arriving. That goal came in the dying minutes. City were protecting a 1-0 lead, and 3 players who barely know each other combined like they'd been doing it for years. That goal won Manchester City's goal of the month for January, but it meant more than that. Since the summer, the question had been simple. Could this new City, with all the new faces, all the departures and the transitions, still play like City? That goal was the answer. City won the second leg 3-1, booked a final against Arsenal at Wembley, but something more important had happened than qualifying for a cup final. 4 days later, City travelled to Anfield, a ground where they had won once in front of fans since 2003, a game that would define whether they are still in the title race or whether it was already over. Against Liverpool, if City loses and Arsenal wins, the gap goes to 9 points. And at that stage, it's over. Everyone knows it. Guardiola was walking in with one of the youngest squads he'd ever fielded. In the first half, City were the better side. 10 shots, controlling possession, creating chances. Haaland had an early opportunity. Alisson saved low on his left. Semenyo looked dangerous. Cherki was probing, but they couldn't score. And in the Premier League, you know how the story usually ends. 74th minute, Liverpool win a free kick on the edge of the box. Szoboszlai stands over it and fired a goal worthy of a Puskás award. Anfield erupts and City are staring at a 9-point gap. 10 minutes later, it's still 1-0. City are running out of time. Then Cherki swings in a cross from the right. Haaland rises, heads it down, and there's Bernardo Silva sliding in at the back post. 1-1. But it's what Bernardo did next that tells you everything about the squad. He grabbed the ball out of the net and sprinted back the halfway line, pointing, screaming, demanding more. Not satisfied with the point, not settling for a draw at Anfield. He wanted to win. 90 minutes gone, 3 minutes of added time. Cherki finds Matheus Nunes on the right. Nunes drives into the box, Alisson comes out, catches his legs. Penalty. Haaland steps up, his first ever goal at Anfield. Bottom corner, 2-1 City. Then came the chaos, which showed the mental strength the City squad possesses, where if they could go for another goal, they would, because goal difference matters a lot at the end of the season. And while they didn't get a goal, it didn't matter. City had won. First league double over Liverpool since 1937. First win in front of the Anfield crowd in over 2 decades. And the gap to Arsenal cut from 9 points to 6. After the game, Guardiola was asked if his players thought the title race was over if they had lost.
A few moments ago, we interviewed Bernardo and Erling Haaland, who said that their feeling was that had you lost today, that would have been the title gone. And I know beforehand you said 13, 14 games is an eternity, but did you feel similar? 1-0 down, 9 points, it'll be too much?
Listen, in that moment I don't think it's 9 points is so much. Of course it will be massive because you see Arsenal, you know, how strong they are in all competitions and many aspects. But 13, I had the feeling the same that...
He just smiled and was more optimistic than his players. 6 points down, City were still breathing, and 3 days later they had a chance to cut it even further. Fulham came to the Etihad, and City did something they hadn't done in a long time. They made a game look easy. Within 24 minutes, Semenyo tapped in from a ricochet of a Fulham defender, 1-0. 6 minutes later, Semenyo drives at the defense, slips it to Nico O'Reilly. O'Reilly lifts it over Leno, 2-0. 39th minute, Foden picks it up on the left, finds Haaland on the edge of the box. Haaland doesn't hesitate, low, hard, into the corner, 3-0. 3 goals before halftime. This is what City used to do. This is the machine that won 4 titles in a row. Relentless, clinical, suffocating teams before they could breathe. And here it was again. Haaland didn't come out for the second half. Didn't need to. Guardiola could rest his striker with the game already won. That didn't happen in months. But it wasn't just the scoreline that mattered. It was the lineup. Ruben Diaz back from injury, starting along Mark Gay, the first time they had played together. Nico O'Reilly, a 20-year-old academy graduate, starting at midfield, not at left-back where he'd spent most of the season. Ryan Cherki on the bench, not because he was out of form, because City had options, because Guardiola could rotate. This was the depth everyone said City didn't have anymore. O'Reilly's goal was his 3rd of 2026, same as Haaland, an academy kid keeping pace with the best striker in the world. After the final whistle, Guardiola didn't talk about the title race. He talked about the next game, Newcastle at home, Saturday night. City won that too. O'Reilly scored 2 goals, a double, his first in the Premier League. 2-1, scrappy, tense, nothing like the Fulham demolition. But that's what title races demand. You don't always play beautifully. Sometimes you just win. After the Newcastle game, Guardiola did something unusual. He told his players to go and enjoy themselves. 3 days off.
We have again 3 days off, and we prepare the next one, Leeds, and one step at a time.
Caipirinhas, daiquiris, whatever they wanted. Then come back, train properly, and go to Leeds. A 1-0 victory against Leeds brought them to 4 league wins in a row. 4 different opponents, 4 different challenges, 4 different answers. Fast forward to today, City still has to play Arsenal. And while Arsenal continues their rich vein of form and have played a game more than City, the title race is going right down to the wire. In fact, City and Arsenal will play each other twice, and the next week's League Cup final will be so important in terms of mind games. And come April, a trip to the Etihad still to come. Arsenal will also know that the title race is just getting started. Because momentum is fragile, less than 10 games remaining, and if history has taught us anything, you never bet against Pep when the pressure peaks, and Manchester City when they have the momentum. Speaking of Manchester, check out these videos to see why Manchester United have been different lately. See you there.